Good morning, good morning, good morning. I'm Dr. Janet Seabrook, and welcome to WJOB. And we're here today with Miss Cheryl Watts, and we're going to have a good time today. There's been a lot going on. Last weekend was so busy, and I'll give a little recap. Last week was Community Health Net's annual breast cancer walk out at Marquette. We probably had about 200 walkers that showed up, and vendors and supporters and people just there, people who didn't walk, they just came to support and donate and just to have fun and spend time in the community and with the community. And it was a good time. We enjoyed ourselves. Community Health Net is raising money for men and women whose insurance does not cover mammograms, or they are uninsured. And so, yes, we know that last Saturday, September 27th, was the last Saturday in September. But we do like a preamble to breast cancer, National Breast Cancer Awareness Month, which is the entire month of October. And so, for that reason, we like to kick it off, but we still collect money and donations throughout the entire month of October. And as I said, those funds are used to support programs at the health center. And then we quickly wrapped up the breast cancer walk and went over to Indiana University to spend time with Clyde Scott at his Pressure on the Runway fashion show, which was excellent.
Beautiful.
His runway show features international models from all over the world, and it was just gorgeous. There was so many people there. It was packed. We had a great time. And he puts this walk on to about stroke awareness.
Yes.
Because he did suffer a stroke and was told that he probably would never be able to hold his camera again. And he was able to fight back from that stroke. And he is back in full force. So we were happy to support
Yes.
his efforts in stroke awareness by participating and giving education about stroke awareness. So now, fast forward to today, after a packed weekend, and I'm here with Miss Cheryl Watts, and we have a lot to talk about.
Yes.
We're going to talk about domestic violence, and we're also going to talk about your events that are coming up, and we're also going to talk about breast cancer awareness as well.
Yes.
So, Ms. Watts, why don't you tell us a little bit about yourself and what brought you here and the things that we're going to talk about today?
So, I have a foundation called Cindy's Girls Foundation, and we're advocates for breast cancer and domestic violence survivors, warriors, and advocates. And we have an upcoming event called She Rolls. So, Cindy's Girls is in honor of my mother. My mother's name was Cynthia, nicknamed Cindy. And anybody that was a friend of mine was a friend of my mother. So I'll say, "Oh, I talked to Dr. Seabrook today." She said, "Oh, I know Dr. Seabrook. That's my girl." And so I always loved that when she said that. And so that's why I named it that. And so it's just to commemorate her accomplishments. She was an advocate in the community. She passed away with breast cancer, and she was also a victim of domestic violence, and so was I.
So let's see if we can break that down a little bit because you did share a little bit with me before we came on air. So share what you feel comfortable about, the things that you saw growing up and how you want to go about making sure that young women and men are
hmm
educated about domestic violence and can find themselves out of situations.
Well, my childhood, my parents worked. I was a latchkey kid, and so I had to fend for myself. My father was a functioning alcoholic and very abusive. And so I saw a lot of trauma in my childhood. So with my going to school, my mom always kept me busy. She kept me in fashion shows. She kept me, just busy just to get my mind off of what was going on in the household. So I suffered a lot, went through therapy a lot while I was in school. And so with all of that and growing up, I wanted to pay it forward. I want to help children that are in domestic violence and trauma situations because I know how that feels. So now that I'm grown and able to help, I want to pay it forward.
So, talk a little bit because I believe that you just got a certification. So, you
Yes.
want to tell us a little bit about that and how you plan to use that certification?
Yes. So I am a certified life coach. And what I plan to do is provide life coaching for some of these women that are going through domestic violence situations. So I've teamed up with a group of therapists and life coaches. And so we want to partner together to help. So I have therapists that are going to give therapy to 3 women in shelters this year. And we are going to match that, what they're going to do. And so we're going to go take them through therapy. And after they go through therapy, then we're going to go through life coaching. That means getting back on track, whether it be a new job situation, whether it be housing, how to go about it. We have people on our staff that can help navigate them to where they need to go. So that's what it's all about. And we just want to make people feel like they can come through tough situations. I came through tough situations and now I'm thriving. I'm living my life. I'm not a victim anymore. I'm victorious. I'm transformative, and that's what I want the women to feel.
So, how can we break this cycle
Mm,
of domestic violence? Because you experienced it, you saw it
yes,
happening to your mom,
yes.
and then you said that you had some issues with domestic violence as well. So, how do we break this cycle of domestic violence when we witness it and then, go on with our adult life? And then get into those situations ourselves. How can we help people break that cycle?
I think that we can help people break that cycle through, of course, therapy, of course, counseling, having a network of people, a tribe of people that people can go to that they trust. I believe that the cycle can be broken also through prayer, of course, and through education. We have to educate people to move forward. So even if it's something simple as a book club where you get together and you talk about things, and we look for warning signs when we're dating. Like everybody's dating, everybody's online, they're dating, they're doing different things, but we don't look for the red flags. And if we see the red flags, we ignore them. And so I think that's a lot. And we deal with self-esteem too. So when you have low self-esteem, you don't really know your self-worth. And so we want to empower women to know their self-worth, to know that these are things that, these are my boundaries.
You know, you touched on something when you said to know your worth,
Yeah.
and to have that self confidence. And we talked about your mom and her fashion, and
Yes.
she was a fashionista, and how she liked to walk the runway, and
Yes.
she made sure that you were active in a lot of activities where you could, walk the runway and be
Hmm.
in fashion shows. So can we talk a little bit about how being in the fashion world, walking the stage helps men and women gain that confidence that they
Yes.
need to be able to, like you said, know the warning signs and know a red flag when they see a red flag, and to be
Hmm.
able to walk away from that red flag.
So when you put your clothes on and you comb your hair and you put your makeup on, ladies, you feel better about yourself. Men, when you put your suit on, you put your gear on, and you're looking fresh, you feel good about yourself. So that helped me a lot. I was a little bit of a tomboy, and so my mom was like, no, ma'am. So she, got me into pageants and fashion shows and different things like that. So that actually helped. It deterred me from thinking about what was going on at home.
Yes.
And so here I am today. I've been modeling since I was 16 years old. And it just propelled me to be around like minded people. And then when you see people in your community that dress nice and look, polished, it makes you want to look polished, and it makes you feel like, Dr. Seabrook is so sharp and so well put together. I want to be like that when I grow up. And I spent time looking at powerful women that were older than me and wanted to emulate what I saw. So I think that's a tool. Being in the fashion industry, I'm also an entrepreneur, so I do nails. And so being in the beauty industry helps out a lot too. So you get your nails done, you get your hair done, and you feel empowered.
I really like that. So let's talk a little bit about breast cancer
Hmm.
and how, your experience with that with your mom and what she
Yes.
went through, and then how you plan to have an event to honor your mom, but
Hmm.
then also to educate women and men about breast cancer.
So my mom passed away with breast cancer. And that age group, they didn't really go to the doctor and get
Mm-hmm.
checked up like they should have. So I didn't find out she had breast cancer until late. And so one day I was just there and I was just checking out. I said, "Hey, what's going on?" And she's like, "I'm not doing well." She said, "I want you to see something." And I said, "Let me see it." So when she showed it to me, it was like a golf ball.
Mm.
It was so huge, and I almost, got taken aback. I didn't want to scare her, even though she probably was scared, but she didn't know. So I took her to the doctor, and they were like, "She's so weak. If we did surgery, we don't know if she would pull through because she was so weak." And so it made me think like, wow, what they're saying about doing your annual checkups,
Yes.
doing your self exams
Yes.
is so important. Um, when we have heavier breast, and correct me if I'm wrong, it can be kind of like cystic breast, little
Mm-hmm.
lumps in there or whatever. I feel like, you're like, oh, that's just because I'm just, going through life or puberty or whatever. But we need to get those things checked out because you never know what that could be. A little bump, a little nodule or whatever, you think it's something simple, but it may not be.
So one of the things to do when you find something that's unusual,
Mhm.
because I mean it's your body, you know your body better than anyone else, and if you feel something abnormal, you should take that directly to your healthcare provider.
Mhm.
Early detection is the best protection. The longer we wait, the higher the risk are that it would be in its more advanced stages. And African American women have a tendency to be diagnosed in later stages
Yes.
because of various life
Mhm.
things that are going on or just denial.
Mhm.
And so the earlier those things are taken care of, more likely chance that you have of survival when the breast cancer is removed at a smaller and earlier stage.
Yes.
And so you talked about breast density,
Yes.
cyst in the breast, and those things are very common
Mhm.
in African American women. That's why it's so important. And sometimes we might have to do a mammogram or ultrasound or MRI to get a better look at the breast tissue. But
Yes.
all of those things are important.
Yes.
If the doctor suggests that you should have a mammogram every 6 months instead of annually, then you should follow those instructions if you're able to.
Mhm.
Hmm.
Mhm.
Yes.
Breast cancer runs in my family. My aunt passed away with it. My mom, and so it can be scary.
Yes.
And I like to talk to people about the being scared part.
Right.
You know, the fear. I don't want to go get checked out because it's a history, and I don't want to find out any bad news. So we try to educate women and you know make it where we dispel that fear
Yes.
and say, hey, come on, sis, I'll go with you. Let's tag team. Look, let's rent a limo and let's go to, let's make a party out of it. And so I try to make things fun for people and try to dispel that fear that we have because, faith over fear.
Yeah, and I like to tell people, well, advise people, not tell people, advise people that like you said, make it a day.
Yes.
Make it a spa day.
Yes.
Everybody have their appointments. Maybe you don't go to the same place, but you meet up for brunch or something
Yes.
afterwards. Make it a time where it's not doom and gloom, that you're doing something that is going to not only help you but
Hmm.
help your family, your friends, because you're going to be there
That's
with
right.
each other into the future. And
Hmm.
so especially if you take care of yourself, so make it something memorable. Maybe it'll be around Mother's Day or
Hmm.
some significant holiday, your first child's birthday,
Yeah.
your anniversary. But put that date as something that you will remember and that you won't forget, and then you'll go and have that test, and then meet up with your girlfriends a little later and
That's
have a
it.
good time. Maybe you go out shopping or just have a brunch or something like that, or just sit and support each other
That's right.
afterwards. So I think that I like those ideas, and those are
Yes.
some things that I suggest to patients when they're putting their plan together to
Hmm.
get their annual exam.
I
Hmm.
love it. I love it.
So tell us about the event that's coming up.
So She Rose is an fashion empowerment experience. And so I've gotten volunteers from numerous of people, the designers, the models, just a myriad of people. And we're going to have fun. We have fashions from Chicago, designers from Chicago, and also Indiana. Um, and we are empowering women on the runway. So we're going to tell a story of domestic violence on a high note. We're going to talk about or show how it starts and how it goes up, right?
Okay.
So we want to just make people feel like, okay, you've gone through what you've gone through, but now it's time to thrive. Now it's time to live. And you can live.
Do you have a date set yet?
Yes, October 19th at the Dean and Barber Center. That's 6600 Broadway in Maryville, Indiana. Showtime starts, we start at 1, so it's from 1 to 5.
Oh, okay, wonderful. Let's repeat that again
Yes.
so we can make sure
So,
everybody knows.
yes, so She Rose Fashion Show Empowerment Experience is October 19th at the Dean and Barbara Center in Maryville, 6600 Broadway, Maryville, Indiana, and show starts from 1 to 5.
So, do you have a contact number or website that people can reach out to or purchase tickets? How do they go about getting tickets and things like that?
Yes, so if you're on social media, all of my social media platforms, Cindy's Girls Foundation, you can get a ticket. You'll click the link and you'll pay for your ticket. If you want to go on my website, you can go to cindysgirlsfoundation.org and purchase a ticket.
That is wonderful. So let's say that one more time.
All right, cindysgirlsfoundation.org. And if you're on social media, any of my social media platforms, which is Cindy's Girls Foundation, that's Facebook, Instagram, click the link, buy a ticket.
That's great. So let's talk a little bit more about your mom.
Yes.
And because it sounds like you all had a great relationship.
Yeah, that's my girl.
So let's talk a little bit about your mom. Say your mom's whole name.
Cynthia Diana Watts.
Watts. Okay.
Yes.
Cynthia Diana Watts.
Cynthia Diana Watts.
Say her name.
Cynthia Diana Watts.
So tell us a little bit about your mother. Was she from Gary?
She's from, well, yes, she's from Gary. Community advocate. She wasn't like wanting to be seen, but she was on several committees. And she did her part, especially to get out the house, So I get it. My mom was a very poised, very elegant, very classy woman. So if she saw me sitting like this, she'll be like, sit up straight, put your legs back, cross your legs, and be poised. She taught me etiquette. She taught me how to eat. She taught me how to, get in and out of cars. She was just that girl. She would always say, get up, you sleep too much. Get up and put your face on and you'll feel better. Put your makeup on, put your clothes on and you'll feel better. And that was her way of shining. That was her way of building her self-esteem. And so that's what she taught me.
So how did she get into the fashion world?
Ooh. She was in the fashion world before I was even born. So I was looking through some pictures and I was like, hey, what are you doing? She said, I was on the runway. I was like, doing what? So she walked the runway. She just likes quality, nice things. And then so she met several designers in Gary or whatever. And so she would, buy from them. And it was she's just a fashionista. And I love it.
That's a wonderful story.
I love it, and I find myself being more and more like my mother. I love fashion. And my mom, her style to me was more vintage. And so I find myself being more vintage.
So when you say more vintage, so where do you shop?
I shop everywhere. I shop. If I see something eclectic, I want it. I shop with our local designers. There's Queen Toppin. There's, and she was a very instrumental part of my growing up as well because she was my mom's friend. And my mom bought clothes from her. And Queen and my mom took me aside and said, hey, you're not going to be a tomboy. Quit doing that, and sit up straight. So that is a product of them. I'm a product of them.
So, that reminds me of how things, back in the day, we had a community, everybody raised everyone else's child, you weren't, my neighbors weren't scared to say to me because they knew that my parents would be on their side, so to speak. If they saw me doing something out of line, hey, you know better than that.
You know better than that.
Yeah, and sometimes I wish we could go back to things like that because I just have to hold my tongue. And sometimes when my husband and I together, he'll just take my little hand and squeeze it like, don't say anything. I'm like, oh.
My mom's the same way. We were in a store and the little girl had on something that my mom just was like, oh no. She's just so soft and she's like, honey, and I was like, Mom, don't do that. Don't you do. She said, well, she doesn't have on any clothes. I'm like, Mom, that's just her style. It's okay. She's just, that old school. And like you said, that whole community, that tribe that I was talking about, we need to build tribes of communities. The village to help, with education, help with, our children. People are still latchkey kids, and so they need help.
No, I do agree.
Okay,
So let's go back a little bit because we're going to be wrapping up shortly. So let's
okay.
talk a little bit again about your event.
Yes.
Give us the date,
hmm
the where it's going to be, and everything.
So it's October 19th, from 1 to 5 at the Dean and Barber Center, 6600 Broadway, Maryville, Indiana. And it's the She Rose Fashion and Empowerment Experience. You don't want to miss this fashion show. It's about sisterhood. It's about thriving. It's about your self-esteem. It's about coming together and in fashion to tell a story about domestic violence, how it starts, and how you can thrive and live a
I,
better
I,
life.
I think it's going to be very important for our young children,
Yes.
girls and boys,
Yes.
to be exposed to an event like this,
hmm
so they would be able to, understand how domestic violence can impact, not only them but the people that they, surround themselves with. So I think this is a very important event. You need to make sure that the word gets spread out there. We're
Yes.
going to do as much as we can
Thank you so
to
much. I
get the
appreciate
word
you.
out. Of course, this is being placed on, my social media page, and Miss Chelsea Whittington over there, who
Yes.
knows everybody in
Whoop,
the
whoop.
universe. And so we're going to get the word out as much as
Thank
we
you.
can, because we want to make this event a successful event. But not only that, we want as many people um, around who
Yes.
are going to participate and attend to be able to understand the impacts of domestic violence, not only on themselves but on the community. So this is very, very important.
Yes, it is. It's dear to my heart. I can't. I'm so excited.
So let's give your website information again before we wrap up.
Yes, cindysgirlsfoundation.org. Or if you're on social media, you can go to any of my social media platforms, Cindy's Girls Foundation, and you can get tickets.
Okay. And so you have anything else coming up in the near future?
Well, I'm going to do something with the advocates. So we're honoring advocates at our event. And so I'm want to get more training. And so I have some things lined up for them to get more training on advocacy so we
Okay.
can help the community.
And so, how do you see the expansion of the work that you're doing? Do you see expanding and maybe getting involved in the different schools, in the public schools, charter schools? How do you see your foundation expanding outside of what you're doing right now?
So we've dealt with charter schools and Gary Public Schools. So we've bought washers and dryers for schools that needed them. So again, when I was a child, I had to fend for myself. My uniforms weren't as clean as they should have been. And so I began to say, okay, no child left behind. And so we donated washers and dryers to schools so the children can thrive and be just like all the other children. So going into the schools, doing empowerment workshops and things of that sort is a future endeavor of mine.
I think that a lot of people don't realize that some children come to school not only hungry,
hmm
but in clothes that they've worn several times without being washed.
hmm
And understanding the impact of having a washer and dryer at school
hmm
means a lot
Yes.
to some schools. And not only that, having some, spare clothes put to the side
hmm
so children have something decent to change
That's
into
right.
as their clothes are being washed at school. And it's you don't really think about things like that, but there are children that are really, really going through a lot and still making it to school every day. So I think
Yes.
it's important that organizations such as yours are able to do the things that you're doing for our children. So thank you so very
Yes.
much for agreeing to come today. And just one more time, Cindy's Foundation, how can they reach out to you on different social media?
Social media, Cindy's Girls Foundation on Instagram, Facebook, TikTok, and you can also go to my website, cindysgirlsfoundation.org.
So thank you so very much for coming
Thank you for
today.
having
Oh,
me.
you're very welcome. And I can't wait for the event. And I,
Yes.
I hope that it's well attended.
Yes.
Like I said, we're certainly going to do our part
Thank you. I
to
appreciate
help
that.
get that attendance up. Thank
Yes.
you so very
Thank
much.
you.
You're welcome. This is Dr. Janet Seabrook, WJOB. Thank you so much for your listening and viewing, and we'll hope to see you soon. Take care.